The Rising Sun Karate Academy sat in a faded strip mall off Fairview, Ohio's Main Street, its mirrored walls catching the golden glow of a May afternoon in 2025. Inside the dojo hummed with the shuffle of bare feet on polished wood and the sharp exhales of 20 students practicing forms. Ava and Zoe Carter, 14-year-old black twin sisters, stood at the back, their yellow belts freshly tied over crisp white Gs. 3 months of white belt training had earned them this rank, but excitement wrestled with unease in their chests. As two of the only black students and the only girls in the room, they felt every sidelong glance like a spotlight. Ava adjusted her belt, her track star frame taut under the cotton G. She'd always been the bolder twin, her words quick, her temper quicker. Zoe beside her mirrored the motion unconsciously, her dark eyes scanning the dojo with an analyst's precision. Their twin bond, a silent language of glances and shared instincts, had carried them through Fairview High's cinder tracks, and now into this unfamiliar world of martial arts. They'd joined the dojo to build strength, maybe earn respect in a town where their family stood out. "We belong here," Ava whispered, catching Zoe's gaze. Zoe nodded, but her lips pressed tight, a flicker of doubt in her steady stare. Yellow belts line up, Sensei Mark Sullivan's voice boomed over the chatter. The 50-year-old instructor moved with the calm authority of a man who'd tied his black belt thousands of times, its edges worn soft. He paused to correct a white belt's sloppy punch, his gaze sliding past Ava and Zoe as if they were invisible. The twins hurried to their spot, their synchronized steps drawing stares from older students. At 14, they shared the same lean build, the same coiled energy from sprinting Fairview's relay races, but their newness marked them as outsiders in this sea of white GIs and higher belts. Across the room, Ryan Hayes and Caleb Turner lounged among the black belts, their postures dripping with entitlement. Ryan, 17, wore a smirk as sharp as his father's insurance empire, which funded the dojo's new mats. Caleb, his lawyer dad's golden boy, matched Ryan's grin, their buzzed heads gleaming under the fluorescent lights. "Check the newbies," Ryan called his voice, carrying over the warm-up drills. "Wrong class, ladies. Dance studios next door." Caleb snickered. "Or maybe the projects where they teach street fighting." The words slammed into Ava like a fist. Her shoulders stiffened, and Zoe's did too, their twin connection turning the insult into a shared wound. A few students glanced over, some curious, some uncomfortable, before looking away. Sensei Sullivan, 10 feet away, adjusted a mirror with deliberate focus, his face blank, as if the taunts were background noise. "Horse stance, 1 minute," he barked, striding to the front. Ava dropped into the wide-legged squat, thighs burning, but her eyes burned hotter, locked on Ryan. Zoe's jaw clenched, her fists curling at her sides, her usual calm fraying. The drill shifted to partner work. Jab, cross, hook. Sullivan demonstrated his strikes, snapping the air. Ava threw the sequence, her punches landing awkwardly, betraying her inexperience. Zoe mirrored her, their movements syncing like a single pulse, a reflex from years of running side by side. But the harmony shattered when Ryan sauntered over Caleb, trailing like a loyal shadow. "Let's help the yellow belts," Ryan said, his tone dripping mockery. "Show 'em how real fighters move." Zoe opened her mouth to protest, but Caleb cut her off, pairing with her, his black belt a stark warning against her yellow one. Ryan faced Ava, his grin predatory, his eyes glinting with something cruel. "Bow to your partner," Sullivan called from across the room, now busy with a green belt's form. The twins bowed their eyes, meeting in a wordless vow: stay calm, stick together. But as sparring began, Ryan's light contact kick crashed into Ava's ribs, the force stealing her breath. She stumbled, her track-trained legs wobbling under the unfamiliar pain. Oops, Ryan said, smirking. Guess girls are softer than they look. Track stars can't handle real fights. On the next mat, Caleb's punch slammed into Zoe's shoulder, deliberate and heavy. She staggered, pain flaring down her arm, but Ava felt it too, their bond a shared bruise. Stay down, Caleb taunted, not offering a hand. That's where you belong, princess. Zoe pushed up her face, a mask of quiet fury, her analytical mind cataloging every move. The room buzzed with uneasy glances, students shifting, whispering, but Sullivan clapped his hands. Switch partners, he shouted, turning to a white belt, his back to the twins as if their struggle didn't exist. Ryan leaned close to Ava, his breath hot. Stick to running, sweetheart. This dojo's for fighters, not charity cases. Ava's vision blurred with anger, but Zoe's subtle headshake stopped her from lunging. They endured 10 more minutes of sparring, each hit from Ryan, and Caleb calculated to humiliate each taunt laced with racial and gendered venom. By the time class ended, bruises bloomed under their GIs, and their yellow belts felt like targets. As students filed out, avoiding their eyes, Ava and Zoe gathered their gear in silence, the dojo's mirrors reflecting their slumped forms. Outside, the familiar rumble of Daniel Carter's diesel pickup cut through the dusk. The former Marine climbed out his construction-hardened frame, moving with quiet menace. His dark eyes, sharpened by 8 years in the Corps, cataloged his daughter's injuries. Ava's split lip, Zoe's guarded stance, the way they moved like they were hiding pain. How was class? Daniel asked, his voice steady, but edged with steel, the kind that commanded respect on job sites and battlefields alike. Fine, Ava and Zoe replied in unison, their twin sync intact, even in deception. Daniel's gaze lingered, his instincts catching the lie. Learn anything useful, he pressed, leaning against the truck. Ava shared a look with Zoe, a silent conversation passing between them, anger, shame, defiance. Yeah, Ava said, her voice low. We learned a lot. The fluorescent lights of the Rising Sun Karate Academy buzzed over the polished wood floor, casting stark shadows as Ava and Zoe Carter tightened their yellow belts. 2 weeks had passed since their first class, and the Fairview, Ohio dojo felt less like a training ground and more like a gauntlet. The 14-year-old black twin sisters moved with cautious precision, their track-honed agility tempered by bruises hidden under their GIs. Ava's fiery defiance flickered in her dark eyes, while Zoe's analytical gaze tracked every movement, their twin bond a lifeline in a space that seemed designed to break them. Class began with forms, practice Sensei Mark Sullivan barking commands from the front. The 50-year-old instructor's worn black belt swayed as he corrected a green belt's stance, his attention conveniently missing the back of the room where Ryan Hayes and Caleb Turner loitered. The 17-year-old black belts, their arrogance fueled by their father's wealth, Edward Hayes's insurance empire, and Nathan Turner's law firm had made the twins their mission. Time for sparring, Sullivan announced, his eyes skimming past Ava and Zoe. Partner with someone your level. Ava's stomach sank as Ryan sauntered over Caleb, trailing with a smirk. Let's teach the princesses some real karate, Ryan said loud enough for nearby students to hear. A few snickered, others looked away, the dojo's silence complicit. Zoe's hand brushed Ava's, a silent signal, stay calm. But calm was hard to hold when Caleb paired with Zoe, his light contact punch slamming her shoulder with deliberate force. She staggered, pain flaring, and Ava felt it too, their bond a shared ache. Ryan's kick caught Ava's thigh, dropping her to one knee. Too slow, track star, he taunted. Maybe stick to running from trouble. Keep those guards up. Sullivan called, critiquing a white belt 10 feet away his back to the twins' mats. Ryan leaned close to Ava, his voice a hiss. You don't belong here. Go back to where your kind learns to fight alleys, not dojos. Caleb chuckled, shoving Zoe into a sloppy block. Or dance class. Girls like you look better in tutus. The racial and gendered barbs cut deeper than the bruises, each word a reminder of Fairview's unspoken rules. Black girls were outsiders, especially in a strip mall dojo funded by white money. The session dragged on 10 minutes of sparring that was nothing but sanctioned abuse. Ava's ribs throbbed from Ryan's accidental elbow. Zoe's wrist ached from Caleb's grip. Students watched in uneasy silence, their discomfort palpable but useless. When class ended, the twins gathered their gear, limping slightly, their yellow belts feeling like bullseyes. Outside the Maple Plaza parking lot glowed under sodium lights, Fairview's quiet streets stretching into the dusk. Daniel Carter's diesel pickup idled its rumble, a beacon of safety. Daniel climbed out his marine-hardened frame, moving with quiet menace. His dark eyes sharpened by years. In combat zones caught Ava's split lip, Zoe's cautious gait. "Rough class?" he asked, his voice low-edged with suspicion. "Just training," Zoe said, her analytical tone masking pain. Ava nodded, but their twin sync faltered under Daniel's gaze. He didn't press, not yet, but his silence was a question they couldn't dodge forever. At home in their shared bedroom, the dam broke. Zoe sat on her bed, rubbing her wrist, her usual calm crumbling. "They're not stopping Ava. Today Ryan said we're only here because of some diversity quota." Ava paced her track shoes, still on her anger-alive wire. "Caleb told me to quit before I embarrass our kind. I wanted to hit him, Zoe, right there." Zoe's eyes met hers, pain mirrored. "If we fight back now, we lose. Sullivan won't care. He's too busy kissing up to their dads." Ava stopped pacing. "We tell Dad?" Zoe hesitated, her analytical mind weighing risks. "He'll pull us out. Or worse, confront Sullivan. And then what?" "We look weak." Ava's jaw tightened. "I'm not weak. Neither are you. We're track stars, Zoe. We've outrun everyone at Fairview High. We can outfight these jerks too." Zoe's lips curved a rare spark. "Then we need Dad's help." That night over dinner, they spilled everything: Ryan and Caleb's taunts, the sparring that left bruises, Sullivan's blind eye. Daniel listened, his fork, still his marine instincts cataloging every detail. How long, he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "Since day one," Ava admitted. Zoe added, "Sullivan sees it. He just doesn't care." Daniel's eyes darkened, but his tone stayed even. "You're not quitting. And you're not losing. Tomorrow we start training, real training." The next evening, Daniel cleared space in the garage, the Fairview air cool through the open door. Tools were stacked aside, a heavy bag hung from a beam, swaying like a promise. Ava and Zoe, in sweatpants and track tees, watched their father wrap his hands with cloth strips. "The dojo teaches forms, rules, predictability," Daniel said, his marine cadence crisp. "In a real fight, predictable gets you hurt. I'm teaching you what I learned in 8 years of combat speed, aggression, survival." He demonstrated a low, mobile stance, hands poised for strikes, nothing like Sullivan's rigid forms. "Hit the solar plexus, throat, knees," he said, holding focus mitts for Ava. Her punch landed hard, track agility fueling the strike. Zoe followed her analytical precision, sharpening each move. "They expect yellow belt girls," Daniel said, circling them. "You'll be fighters they can't predict." For an hour he drilled them, quick jabs, knee strikes, counters that used an attacker's force against them. The twins adapted fast, their relay race instincts kicking in Ava's fire, blending with Zoe's strategy. As they finished sweat-soaked and breathing hard, Ava felt something new, power, not pain. Zoe's eyes gleamed, her quiet strength surfacing. "This stays between us," Daniel said, testing the heavy bag's chain. "At the dojo, you act the same, endure, observe. They don't know what's coming. Ava shared a look with Zoe, their twin bond electric with purpose. "We're learning," Zoe said, and for the first time, it wasn't a lie. The Rising Sun Karate Academy's mirrored walls gleamed under Fairview, Ohio's late May dusk, the strip mall dojo alive with the rhythmic thuds of practice. Ava and Zoe Carter, 14-year-old black twin sisters, adjusted their yellow belts, their movements synced from years of running Fairview High's cinder tracks. 6 weeks of secret training in their garage, with their father Daniel Carter had sharpened their edges, but here they played the part of battered yellow belts. Ava's fiery defiance simmered beneath a neutral mask, while Zoe's analytical gaze tracked every student, their twin bond a silent shield against the dojo's hostility. Sensei Mark Sullivan clapped his hands, his frayed black belt swaying. Forms practice, the 50-year-old, barked his eyes lingering on Ryan Hayes and Caleb Turner, the dojo's golden boys. The 17-year-old black belts, backed by their father's wealth, Edward Hayes' insurance empire, and Nathan Turner's law firm, had toned down their attacks since Daniel's pickup started lingering in the Maple Plaza lot. But their smirks still carried venom, and Ava felt Zoe's tension mirror her own. Tonight, Daniel didn't just drop them off. His diesel pickup was parked outside, and his marine-hardened frame filled the parent seating area, a folding chair creaking under his weight. His dark eyes, honed by 8 years in combat zones, scanned the dojo, catching Ava's split-second glance. Zoe's fingers brushed Ava's wrist. He's watching. The twins moved through their forms, their track agility masking the power Daniel's drills had built, quick jabs, knee strikes, counters that targeted vulnerabilities. Partner drills, Sullivan announced, striding past the twins. Ryan and Caleb exchanged a look, their usual predatory approach tempered by Daniel's presence. "Let's help the yellow belts," Ryan said, his voice carrying a rehearsed warmth that fooled the younger students. Caleb paired with Zoe Ryan with Ava, their bows mockingly precise. "Light contact," Sullivan called, distracted by a white belt's sloppy kick, his back to the twins' mats. Ryan's first punch was controlled, grazing Ava's guard, but his whisper was a blade. "Nice try, princess. Track stars don't scare black belts." Ava's ribs ached from past sparring, but she held her stance. Daniel's voice echoing, "Endure." "Observe." Zoe blocked Caleb's strike, her analytical mind noting his overextended elbow. His taunt was softer, meant for her ears alone. "Stick to dancing, girl. You're embarrassing your kind." Zoe's jaw tightened, but Ava felt the sting, their bond amplifying every slight. Sullivan approached his presence, forcing Ryan and Caleb to play mentors. "Good block," Zoe Caleb said loudly, his grip on her arm bruisingly tight. Ryan demonstrated a slow kick for Ava, his foot accidentally clipping her shin. "Focus, track star," he said, grinning for the parents watching from the sidelines. Daniel's eyes narrowed, his marine instincts cataloging the subtle aggression, but the dojo's polished surface hid the truth. Sullivan clapped Ryan's shoulder. "Great mentoring, boys. Ava, Zoe, you're lucky to train with our best." After class, Sullivan approached Daniel, his smile professional. "Your girls are dedicated, Mr. Carter. Natural athletes, but karate's about discipline fitting into our structure." Daniel's nod was curt, his gaze lingering on Ava's guarded stance, Zoe's forced calm. "They're tough," he said, "raised to respect authority and work hard." Sullivan's eyes flickered. Respect meant money in Fairview, and the Hayes and Turner families paid the bills. "They'll find their level," he said, the phrase heavy with implication. In the pickup, Daniel's voice was low. "They're careful with me here, aren't they?" Ava nodded, her defiance cracking. "It's worse when you're not." Zoe's analytical tone cut in. "Sullivan knows. He just protects Ryan and Caleb's dads." Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. "We're not confronting him yet. You're not ready." Ava's eyes met Zoe's, their twin sync sparking. "We're getting there," Zoe said. Back home, the garage was their battlefield. Daniel hung a heavy bag, its chain creaking in the cool night air. "The tournament's in 3 weeks," he said, wrapping his hands. "Tri-County Open Division. You'll face black belts, Ryan, Caleb, anyone." Ava's pulse quickened. "We're yellow belts," Zoe said, her analytical mind weighing risks. "We can't win." Daniel's smile was sharp. "You're not just yellow belts. You're my daughters, trained to fight, not pose." For 2 hours he drilled them, low stances, explosive strikes, counters that used an opponent's size against them. Ava's punches snapped the bag, her track speed fueling each hit. Zoe's precision landed, knee strikes exactly where Daniel aimed the mitts. "They'll underestimate you," he said, circling them. "Girls, yellow belts. Black, use that. Hit fast, hit hard, get out." The twins adapted their relay race instincts, blending with marine tactics, Ava's fire tempered by Zoe's strategy. As they finished sweat-soaked and breathless, Ava felt a shift. The dojo's humiliation still stung, but the garage offered power. Zoe's eyes gleamed, her quiet strength hardening. "We keep this secret," Daniel said, testing the bag's stability. "At the dojo, you take their hits, act weak. They don't see you coming." Ava shared a look with Zoe, their bond electric with purpose. "We're ready," Ava said, and Zoe nodded. "For the tournament. For them." Outside Fairview slept under streetlights, its suburban calm masking the war brewing in a strip mall dojo. The twins were no longer just surviving, they were preparing to strike back. The Fairview Community Center buzzed with anticipation, its gymnasium transformed into a battleground for the Tri-County Karate Tournament. Banners from Ohio dojos hung from the rafters, and 3 rings marked the polished floor. Ava and Zoe Carter, 14-year-old black twin sisters, sat near the registration table, their yellow belts stark against the sea of higher ranks. 6 weeks of secret training with their father Daniel Carter had honed their track star agility into something lethal, but nerves churned beneath their calm. Ava's fiery defiance burned in her eyes, while Zoe's analytical gaze scanned the crowd, their twin bond a steady pulse. Carter, Ava, and Zoe open division, the coordinator called, eyeing their yellow belts. "You sure we've got a beginner bracket?" Ava's jaw set. "We're sure." Daniel stood behind them, his marine-hardened frame a quiet warning. His dark eyes locked on Ryan Hayes and Caleb Turner, the 17-year-old black belts from Rising Sun Karate Academy, stretching with smug confidence. "Look who showed up," Ryan sneered loud enough to carry. "This'll be quick," Caleb added, smirking. Sensei Mark Sullivan, in the Rising Sun section, frowned, his surprise tinged with annoyance. "Mr. Carter, I didn't know your girls were competing," he said, approaching Daniel. "Lots you don't know," Daniel replied, his tone flat. The announcer's voice cut through Ring 2 Zoe Carter versus Caleb Turner. A hush fell over the crowd, parents whispering about the mismatch yellow belt versus black. Zoe stepped into the ring, her bow respectful but unyielding. Caleb's was mocking his swagger, expecting an easy win. Fighters ready, begin. Caleb lunged with a flurry of kicks, his black belt technique crisp. Zoe sidestepped, her track speed a blur, and closed the distance. A sharp punch to Caleb's solar plexus doubled him over, followed by a knee strike to his ribs. The crowd gasped. "Point Carter," the referee called. Caleb's face paled shock, replacing arrogance. His next attack was frantic wild punches fueled by panic. Zoe ducked, landing a hook to his jaw that staggered him. "Point and match Carter." The Rising Sun section erupted in murmurs. Caleb stood frozen, his nose bleeding, his pride shattered. "She's a yellow belt," he sputtered. "This is impossible." In Ring 3, Ava faced Ryan, whose confidence had cracked, watching Caleb's defeat. "You're next," he hissed, but his voice shook. The match began Ryan's high kick aiming to overwhelm. Ava ducked under, driving an elbow into his ribs, the crack echoing. Ryan gasped, and Ava's hip toss sent him crashing to the mat. Point Carter. Ryan scrambled up, tears of rage in his eyes, but Ava's straight punch to his throat ended it. Match Carter. The gymnasium buzzed, Fairview's gossip mill already spinning. Fraud Edward Hayes shouted, storming the officials. "They're not yellow belts," Nathan Turner joined him, face red. "This is cheating," Sullivan stammered. "They couldn't fight like this weeks ago." The director, unfazed, checked the records. "Legitimate yellow belts trained at your dojo." Daniel's calm cut through. "Maybe your boys aren't as good as you thought." As Ava and Zoe collected their certificates, Ryan and Caleb broke from their parents' faces, streaked with humiliated fury. "You think you're tough," Ryan snarled, lunging at Ava with a wild punch. Caleb tackled Zoe, their post-match rage exploding. The crowd screamed, but the twins' training kicked in. Ava rolled from Ryan's fists, landing a knee to his stomach that folded him. Zoe absorbed Caleb's strike, countering with an uppercut that sent him sprawling. The brawl was brutal, but brief security swarmed, pulling the bloodied bullies away. Ava and Zoe stood bruised but steady, their minor injuries a testament to Daniel's drills. The director disqualified Ryan and Caleb, banning them from regional tournaments. "Attacking opponents is unacceptable," he said. Sullivan's protests faded under the crowd's judgment. That night, Edward Hayes and Nathan Turner appeared at the Carter home, their suits rumpled, their anger raw. "Your girls ruined our sons," Edward shouted through the chain door. Daniel, unflinching, stepped onto the porch. "Your sons jumped mine after losing fair fights. Leave." Edward swung, but Daniel sidestepped, dropping him with a precise strike. Nathan rushed forward, only to hit the railing under Daniel's throw. The one-sided fight ended with both men bloodied, pride as broken as their sons. Sirens wailed as Fairview police arrived, Officers Martinez and Johnson citing Edward and Nathan for trespassing and harassment. "You were warned," Martinez said, eyeing their injuries against Daniel's unmarked calm. "Self-defense is clear." As the patrol cars left, Ava and Zoe watched from their window, their twin bond pulsing with relief. Daniel turned to them, his voice firm. "You proved you belong. They know it now." Fairview's quiet streets hid the shift. Two girls had rewritten the rules, and the cost was just beginning. 6 weeks after the Tri-County Karate Tournament, the Rising Sun Karate Academy stood empty in Fairview, Ohio's Maple Plaza. Its windows papered over the sign above the door, gone. Inside, Sensei Mark Sullivan packed equipment into cardboard boxes, his frayed black belt coiled on a shelf like a discarded dream. The Regional Martial Arts Association's investigation had been swift. Witness accounts, parent complaints, and tournament footage painted a damning picture of systematic harassment enabled by Sullivan's bias toward wealthy donors like Edward Hayes and Nathan Turner. His teaching certification was revoked, the dojo's charter suspended. 15 years gone, Sullivan muttered, taping a box shut. Social media had amplified the scandal, with Fairview's ex-posts calling out the dojo's toxic culture, and 30 families canceled memberships in days, leaving the lease unpaid. Across town, the newly opened Integrity Martial Arts hummed with purpose. Its bright studio, a stark contrast to Rising Sun's faded mirrors. Ava and Zoe Carter, 14-year-old black twin sisters, stood at the front, their orange belts earned under Master Sarah Delgado's rigorous mentorship. The former Marine, her buzzed hair and sharp eyes commanding respect, watched the twins guide a class of younger students. "Protect yourself, never bully." Ava told an 8-year-old white belt struggling with a block, her voice firm but kind. Zoe beside her adjusted the child's stance, her analytical precision gentle. Their track star agility honed by 6 months of karate, and Daniel Carter's military drills made them naturals, but their empathy made them leaders. Nice work, Carter's Delgado called her nod-carrying pride. You're showing what martial arts means, strength for good. The twins exchanged a glance, their twin bond a quiet pulse of shared triumph. 3 months at Rising Sun had scarred them with bruises and taunts, but 6 weeks at Integrity had healed them with purpose. Their tournament victories, decisive defeats of black belt bullies, Ryan Hayes and Caleb Turner had spread through Fairview's gossip mill, amplified by ex-posts and school whispers. At Fairview High, the twins, once quiet track stars, were now legends who'd toppled a corrupt dojo. Ryan and Caleb faced a different fate. Banned from regional tournaments until 18, their martial arts dreams were dust. Ryan worked at his father Edward's insurance office, his black belt hidden in a drawer, while Caleb switched to online school, dodging Millbrook High's hallways, where their humiliation was a daily joke. Edward's insurance empire lost clients Fairview's ex-users, linking his business to the dojo scandal. Nathan passed over for a law firm promotion, wore the police citations from their late-night confrontation at the Carter home like a scarlet letter. The bullies' families, once untouchable, retreated into embarrassed isolation. At the Carter house, Daniel installed the last security camera, a precaution now seemingly unnecessary. The Hayes and Turner families' threats had fizzled under legal and social pressure. "How's class?" he asked, as Ava and Zoe entered through the garage, their orange belts bright against their GIs. "Amazing," Zoe said, her analytical calm replaced by a rare grin. "We taught 5 new kids today." Ava added, "No one gets picked on at Integrity. Delgado doesn't play." Daniel nodded, his marine-hardened frame softening with pride. His daughters had transformed from victims to protectors, their track speed now a weapon for justice. Lisa Carter, their mother, emerged from the kitchen, her nurse's instincts easing as she saw her girl's confidence. Heard Rising Sun's closing for good, she said, setting plates for dinner. End of the month, Daniel confirmed. Sullivan's selling gear, but no dojo wants his tainted equipment. Ava's defiance flared. Good, they don't get to hurt anyone else. Zoe's eyes met hers, their bond echoing the pain of Ryan's slurs, Caleb's fists, Sullivan's blind eye. A knock at the door interrupted the sound, no longer triggering tension. Master Delgado stood on the porch, a manila envelope in hand, her smile warm. "Special delivery," she said, handing it to Daniel. Inside were Ava and Zoe's orange belt certificates and letters from the State Martial Arts Association inviting them to a youth leadership program. "They want you to train instructors in anti-bullying techniques," Delgado explained. "Your story's big schools statewide want to prevent another Rising Sun." Ava and Zoe shared a look, their twin sync electric with purpose. From targets to teachers, their journey felt surreal. "We're in," Zoe said, speaking for both. As Delgado left, the Carters sat around the dinner table, Fairview's quiet streets glowing outside. "Proud of yourselves?" Daniel asked, his voice carrying a Marine's weight. "Proud? We didn't quit," Ava said, her fire softened by growth. "Proud we proved we belong anywhere." Zoe added, her quiet strength unshakable. "And proud we're helping others," they said together, their sync, a testament to their bond. Fairview's suburban calm belied the shift Ava and Zoe had sparked. Bullies were humbled, a corrupt dojo crumbled, and 2 black girls once dismissed stood as leaders. Justice had come swiftly, not through courts, but through their refusal to break. As they cleared the table, Ava caught Zoe's eye, a silent vow passing between them, They'd carry this lesson forward, protectors, in a world that needed them.